here with our fancy summoner blocker so no one can screen cheat. Don't like any of that, but we will reveal them at the 3-minute mark. So, quick look over of these teams. What do you think, Highwind?
So some of the roles changed. The support, for example. Bigum's still playing Graves. Messiah still playing Malzahar. I really like the Jarvan pick. It's kind of a like, oh, you know how to play Jarvan? Yeah, well, we're going to take him. You know?
Let me show you how to play Jarvan, Smash Kids.
Looks like we're going to see Rise again, and we're going to see Eddie actually playing on Udyr again. So some similar picks and some not so similar picks. We actually get to see Smash on Jarvan, so I'm really excited to see that. Jarvan is really a strong, for lack of better words, pub stomper. He's really, Pantheon. My bad. Pantheon is kind of a really strong pub stomper. I actually kind of like him in the jungle. I actually like him in lane because he man drops.
He's actually a good counter a lot of AP characters.
And he's also a hard counter to Gangplank.
Yes. Because he can block those parlays.
So we could see him top, we could see him mid. Rise actually has a pretty decent matchup against Vlad, so I wouldn't mind seeing Rise go in a lane versus Vlad, and I wouldn't mind seeing Pantheon go in a lane versus... Actually, I don't know how Pantheon would do versus Malzahar. Personally, I think Malzahar is a strong pick against Rise.
Yeah, I mean, it's as we saw last game, it actually worked out pretty good. You know, he's spammy and he pushes the lane, which is what Rise doesn't want. Although I thought he hung in there fine, but he does have that ability to actually deal with Rise when he becomes tanky. Not like other AP characters.
Now, one thing to point out is, these teams aren't pro players or semi-pro players. Although EA's team has quite a bit of strong players. Almost their team is in the top, in the top 10% of LoL players. But that which typically means you're not going to see. Not everybody has the ability to play every champion real well. I mean, it's near impossible, and there are very few people that can play more than a half dozen or so champions really well in terms of mastered. So when we look at that, we're not going to say, oh, I would love to have seen this matchup versus this matchup because it's a counter. We're saying, hey, we're going to see some of these matchups because these are the champions people play. This is how they know to play or feel comfortable with. And by all means, I think that's the best way to go about it.
Yes.
Don't try to force picks if you don't know if you don't know that champion.
Yeah. For example, don't be like, I know that Cassiopeia is the counter to Rise, so I'm going to play Cassiopeia. Because if you suck at Cassiopeia, Rise is going to own you. And you're going to look really stupid. You're like, I thought it was the counter. I mean, just because a lot of characters, just because they are counter doesn't necessarily mean you win. Vice versa. Also, picking Galio if you don't know how to play Galio very well. Just pick the character that you're best with. Because a lot of times, especially at this level, when you're not like these high tier pro teams that have all these strategies with that little bit of advantage, becomes like so big. Just play your best character, and typically that will actually carry you through better than trying to play the matchups all the time.
And this is the After Hours Gaming League, which implies these guys got an 8-hour or so, a 9 to 5. Most of these guys are probably like 10 to 7, working late. They get home like, man, I got time to play a couple games, maybe cook some dinner. It's like these guys got jobs, so it's not like they have all the time in the world to play. So kudos to these guys for sticking it out for the league. I know they played a lot of their matches on Sundays. Yes. Hopefully they got time to practice a couple of times throughout the week or throughout the season. These players are pretty good. So kudos to these guys for sticking it out in there. Just quickly, just covering the team, we see a double AP comp, which means they're going to want a team fight from Team EA, especially with that Sona and that Jarvan initiation. Yeah. So you're going to definitely want to see these guys want to team fight. Now, the good news is things that beat a team fight comp are people that get ahead early, teams that can get ahead early, or teams that can poke, kite, and reset a team fight. So luckily, we've got Ashe, who's really good at kiting and poking, and the ability to reset or initiate from a distance.
Yes.
You've got Pantheon, who's arguably one of the best champions in the game at getting ahead, especially early. Udyr is going to be strong no matter what. He's got some mobility that allows him to kite. Rise is just going to be good overall because he's going to scale well in the late game.
Yeah.
Because if you can get tankier than their AoE, then you can just survive the fight and then turn the tables. Because what you want to do is disengage. You want to poke them once their big spells are on cooldown, and then and return the fight. So what they're going to do is survive the early game, and not just survive it, but they're going to try and get an advantage. So Jarvan is going to, not Jarvan, I keep messing that up, but Pantheon's going to want to
it's all good.
Either win his lane or help someone else win their lane really hard. And I think we're going to see that. We're going to see a lot of like man drops.
Yeah, it was actually kind of fun to watch. Ash got out a little bit late for Factset's team, but it was kind of fun to watch EA's team. It's like they almost like were in the huddle, we're like ready, set, break, and they all bought their items at the exact same time and ran out. It's actually kind of funny to watch on the little screen down here. But they've actually spread completely out, want to catch any invade here. And, that's a good strategy because right now a team like Factset, they might have said, hey, we played them straight up and we lost. Maybe we should try to get an advantage early. It looks like they're going to be spotting out a little bit with this CV here.
30 seconds
And,
until
if they can
minions
catch someone
spawn.
out and get that early first blood, maybe that will help them snowball the early game advantage into the mid-late game.
Yeah, I mean, again, there are two ways to really take on, a team fight, a double AP comp or a team fight comp, which is just get ahead early, or which it's a lot harder to do, but try and beat them by baiting out their ultimates when it comes down to team fight. So these guys are definitely going to want to try and get ahead early. A lot of that can come through counter jungling, can come through ganking.
We might see an invade. Ooh, I think they were thinking about it. So, typically the thing for blue is if you walk up here to blue, it's not safe to run through your jungle, so you will typically the bot will blue pill back, or they might do wolves and try to gain that extra XP bonus. The problem with that is, though, for blue is that people know you're going to do this, and so they know you only have 3 people, and they can run into 5 people and crush your hopes and dreams, especially with the CV when they spotted out that there's 3 people there, but looks like Purple, is going to play it safe. EA knows they won last game with basically a straight-up match. They're probably just going to feed into that again and say, hey, we can do this again. We just have to play our game, stick to our guns, have the same kind of coordination. We got a lot of the same matchups we wanted, so it should be interesting going forward here.
I couldn't agree more.
And what's actually kind of funny now that I realize this, the EA took Purple purposely the first time, and they countered Jarvan with Riven. Looking at an early gank up here, the flag's not going to do anything. He's going to apply some red buff and put a lot of heat on the Smash Gizmo. But they actually use their last pick every time to counter Smash Gizmo, and I'm interested to see if Vlad actually ends up being a very, very good matchup against this Pantheon. And maybe that was their strategy all along. They were like, Smash Gizmo, we know he's going to top. Let's just have Gasty, just wait to try to counter pick up top.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason we're going to see early ganks, early ganks in those matches. It's, typically your top solo, the only time you're going to pull off a gank against a top solo is going to be at early levels. There's no wards in play. They don't have much of their escape mechanisms set up, and they're not going to be that tanky. And if you can get an advantage early game on a top solo, you can actually you can just straight up win the game. It's definitely possible. And actually,
Uder's counter juggling might get punished here. Now here. Silence actually was ahead. Looks like he flashes over for that dot. Will pick him up. Messiah's going to get the first blood there. So great map awareness and teamwork by Purple. They're not going to let Eddie be sneaky again and try to take 2 blue buffs. So now Malzahar has blue buff to that's right.
Yeah, he's going to lose a ton of creeps.
Spam and push harder.
Yeah, he's going to lose a ton of creeps here to the turret. And actually, Pantheon's not doing so well.
Yeah. Blood. Yes. So again, that could have been their strategy all along. EA said, hey, we just got to deal with Let's take the wind out of their sails and, just save our counter picks and stay Purple. It might have been smart, actually, for blue side to actually go Purple side. So it's kind of interesting now, because when it started out, everybody was like, you have to take blue side because the way the picks went, it made sense. But now, since you just go one band back and forth, you don't have the band advantage anymore. So there's no rhyme or reason to doing bans or being blue anymore. Like, Purple actually completely has the blue advantage in the last pick, so you can counter, their top solo or their mid lane, if you so choose.
I don't know. Being first pick allows you to do a lot of,
Well, I mean, yeah, it allows you to force some bans on your opponents. Like, that's like the one thing, but like as far as like counter picking goes, like Purple, like Oh, 'cause the way it feels kind of now with like new...
Ash actually getting in a lot of trouble.
With the new counter jungling, purple and blue is very, very exposed because a lot of the wards are focused down a dragon, and a lot of the counter jungling blue is a lot easier that way. I just kind of feel like purple, I feel more comfortable picking wise on purple than the way it used to be. I felt like blue always had the advantage of being quick instead of that. But maybe that's just me.
I don't know.
Both are good.
Have you ever first picked Shin before?
Yeah, when other teams are terrible and don't damage, yes. I've also seen people first pick Shen as purple too. It's a pretty good wheel. The Trigger coming up here, but it's going to get pulled in the face. Gas is easy to be able to kill. I've been really impressed with Gas's play in top solo. He's definitely probably a major player in top solo here. He's playing great both games.
So Rise actually doing a pretty good job passing under turret. So much kudos here for Suja, who's actually lasting extremely well under turret. Has 36 creep stats. He's about dead even with Malzahar with this wave here. One thing he's going to worry about is potentially getting bullied here in a second under turrets, because Malzahar is 6.
Purple thinking about rotating up here for a strong gang on the quite a ways. Udyr will spot this up, but Udyr's in the company, hasn't laid down the pool, which is most of Malzahar's early damage. Pool comes second. Without a lay down that pool force, that pool is down. Eddie Hobbs would have been a dead bear. But instead he's going to be able to escape out of this. Smash Giz, no knows what's up, and Malzahar is down and ult.
So this is good for Suja, because otherwise Suja could have maybe killed him with turret at this point. For now, though, he can actually go back, probably pick up his tier.
Yeah, he should have.
Yeah,
I mean, you could even go Catalyst if you want to, but tier's a good starting line. A good tier beat pretty safely.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I know it was an opportune time for that gank, because Malzahar was 6, Rise was still under turret, wasn't quite 6 yet. But if they'd have waited about 10-15 seconds, they could have actually made a lot, put some more aggression on that blue buff, and probably would have picked up a kill or have stolen their blue. But now that Malzahar is actually going to back, Rise is going to pick up this blue buff, which is going to be really good for him.
Yeah, so it was a good, idea. There was a lot of potential for a lot of great moves there, and because Udyr actually poked his face out there and the wrong combo was thrown, they kind of got nothing really in the end. But it's okay. They're sitting here healthy with about a 1K gold lead early. Something on the board for EA. There's a lot of harass down here on the Ash. Ash is trying to stay out here, doing pretty well. It's Graves, but that second burst is going to come in. TV has to be popped. Otherwise, Geico would have been a dead Ash right there.
Yeah, they weren't expecting Graves to hit level 6 in the middle of that confrontation. He was like, haha, I'm going to heal bait. And it was like, oh, snap, he hit level 6. Ash will hit level 6 on this next creep wave. Udyr, who could come down, and they could set up an Ash arrow into a Udyr gank. They got to be careful though, because they don't know this, but Jarvan, who's now picking up their blue, will have Malzahar come pick it up.
Yeah, and he's sitting there waiting. And the dynamic for the bottom lane has changed a little bit. The poke is more in Graves, Sona's favor, but now Ash has the advantage of having Soraka with her, so she's gonna have infinite mana to basically spam volleys as much as she wants. Which right now, kind of is her advantage. Doing a good job blasting under this turret right here.
Only gonna miss. Looks like she's only gonna miss.
Ooh,
yeah, only missed one.
Nice. Unfortunately for Suja earlier. Sorry, I focused on you a little bit. Under turret. I do that with Rise too. You have those under turret things where you know what to do and you have your Q ready and you pick the wrong target and you end up getting no CS. Unfortunate.
So even with the Soraka mana advantage, Ash is falling behind a little bit. She's got 56 CS, whereas Graves is sitting on 73.
Malzahar knows what's up, so this is actually bad for him. He's caught under the pool, just looking outside the pool, so he will be a little bit thinner, he will be caught up, and he's going to get enough damage with that. Graves is going to flash over, Sona walking back in here. Eddie Hobbs will be able to take it for the steal from Sona. Oh my gosh, flash Dot will pick off. AHGL coming in. Gonna hit Jarvan. Malzahar slowly returning. They have a good fight. So, hey, multitasking right now. Graves regulating bottoms, zoning out the blue team.
Man, that would have been so clutch if Soraka had been on 6. She would have been able to hit the wish and actually might have saved it here.
Yeah, that would have been pretty amazing. Purple's rotating off the dragon is sniping over the do have the blue is not going to be able to stop this. And right now, EA looking very, very strong in game 2 of this best of 3. The 3K lead, but nothing is lost yet. Factset still has lots of a big chance to get back into this. Ash 61 CS to Graves 89 again. Graves doing a little bit better mechanically at farming the spot lane. They've traded supports, but it's still pretty much support. And I think that it might have been a good idea in that case to try to maybe get rid of Graves from last game. I mean, just mechanically, probably. Big ol' Buns is probably going to be better at last hitting, but getting him out of multiple characters, a first caster like AD, like Graves, can sometimes get people involved and give you an advantage in long run. It seems like he's very at home at playing Graves. It might have been a good ban, looking back on it, but we have the characters we do have, and we're just going to have to stick it out here for Factset. Meanwhile, the ongoing saga of Rise trying to stop Group from pushing through his turret.
Yeah, and he's doing a really good job. He's actually ahead of creeps. He doesn't quite have the 2 kills Malzahar does, but
so he's doing a pretty good job. But one little tip I would give for Suga when he's playing as a pusher the next time is it's typically a good way to use your auto attacks because you want the lane to push into you, but a pusher's naturally going to push your lane. Use some of your auto attacks when you can to put damage on some of those creeps, like when you're standing there walking back and forth. You can actually put some damage on those creeps and actually take them out before they reach the turret, and basically increase your CS that way and keep them away from just plowing into your turret with no damage.
There's kind of an engagement here on the blue side.
But combo's gonna miss. Ash Arrow flies through, hitting nothing, actually missing Vlad. Might have got him. And yeah, it looks like Zeryl's gonna be able to get out pretty safely. He's gonna go farm race like nothing happened. Right in front of that pool just a little bit. That pool actually going to take away a percentage of your health, which is no fun for anybody, doesn't matter how tanky you are. And the more AP the Malzahar gets, the more ridiculous Ash is looking really, really hard. Has the Astral Blessing on her. Getting a little bit of armor to try to sustain through this. The only bonus right now is Graves doesn't have a lot of mana. That's the good news right now for bot lane. And Malzahar's rotating down. That's really bad news.
Yeah, right now they're going to see that, and that's the sign to get out of dodge.
Yes, I mean, and he's going to try to say that, we can see you again. Please don't come kill me under my turret. Don't do it. I see you. Make a mean face.
So Pantheon's going to help Raz get blue. We're going to see Vlad doing a real solid job. He's almost got 100 CS. Graves sitting on 120. Is definitely the CS lead.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty stellar farm coming out of him.
As we approach the 14-minute mark, we can definitely see between the dragon, and we're going to see a Pantheon coming in.
On the mid, and just stunned on the Malzahar right away. He's torn apart with the help of that tower, and the trap has been sprung by Factset. Smart move there. I think you have an advantage doing this. Daryl now threatened with Eddie Hobbs. We get a little bit of backup here. He's going to flag out, make sure he doesn't get destroyed by the burst combo from Razula right a little bit low. As you can see right here, he is spamming spells right now, but that mana regen isn't quite what it used to be. It's about half of what it used to be. Actually, it is exactly half of what it used to be. Something to note in that last patch that did change out, or if you are an AP character or a jungler, can't quite count out the moves that you do. Just spam indiscriminately.
So Graves going the triple Thorns route. He'll probably rush into I don't think he'll rush into a Bloodthirster, but he'll probably go for IE Phantom Dancer after that. He's doing really well. He actually go any build he'd prefer.
Yeah, he has 18 for the right now, so he could go for BF Sword.
Ash, on the other hand, is definitely going to want to go into IE, just between her passive and the ability to do that extra damage. You gotta be careful because they are gonna see Malzahar.
And there we go. The engage is on. Just misses that stun. Look at that engage from downtown. That goes to the cataclysm and blow it out now. There's no safety under turrets. You know, that much damage was that tanky, and I imagine they're gonna kill this turret and probably rotate this into another dragon. Pretty soon.
Yeah, that's probably what we're gonna see. I mean, you know, we need quad ganks happen. And they happen when you can successfully have your mid push the lane and get out of lane. You find out with the jungler, that's when the bot lane is going to be really messed. You get really rolled over. And that's what we saw there. The way you stop that is by being able to counter push the lane and get that lane presence on their turret. Whether it's top or mid. Preferably both. In this situation with 4 bot, there wasn't much they could do. So they're probably going to get some red buff here for free. I gotta believe that Dragon's up soon. And
Ash does have her arrow up. So they will actually save their red buff, which is good. Imagine Dragon maybe the next objective EA decides to take, and at that point I think they're in enough of a lead that they probably can do it pretty safely or win a team fight, so they're probably going to try to do that. Again, Factset does have some good initiation. They can have a man drop, crystal arrow combo to start off the fight, which could lead to taking out some key carries for EA and snowballing it in their favor. But again, they have no vision. Kind of feels like and that's unfortunate. EA, the tale of both games has kind of been EA with better objective control so far in both of these games. They're using it very, very well. I think Factset had a better game 1 so far, just because they were able to stay even and be very, very competitive in all their lanes for a long after. And right now, I think he is really, really solid. They know how to defend very, very well.
So Smash is going to put a little bit of pressure on this top turret. He's going to realize Vlad's coming back to lane. Vlad has no problem picking up a lot of this farm. He's going to become even more of an annoyance. At level 9, his Q became on max cooldown. So he's going to have a ton of sustain. And when they start to get into a team fight, he's going to do a buttload of damage. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to see an Oracle, if we don't see one already, on Jarvan. If we can check his items real quick. Yep, that's what I would have done. At this point, you can just actually take Baron control by clearing the wards, waiting for bot lane to push, and then take Baron, or force a Baron fight, because they're so far ahead right now, and they have that double HP, that team fight composition, that it's in their advantage to force a fight at objectives. And they're probably going to get this mid turret here as well.
And, I kind of just realized it now that I've been thinking about it, but Jarvan kind of is a mini... Oh, but man drop coming in, crystal arrow, great cleanse out by Raise right there. Very smart move. They will pick up Messiah in response. Rise flashing in there with the shackle combo, blowing up Messiah. Now they will actually have the advantage to try to push around on the map if they so choose. But I was just going to say, Jarvan has a lot of the same mechanics as Nautilus, and I didn't realize that until just now, kind of. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Oh, there's the Vlad ult down schedule. It's really damage. The Factset right now, once it goes off, followed up by Cataclysm, under turret. Rise has been caught out there. Heal's coming in, trying to protect him, but the Ignite has gone down onto Jarvan. Jarvan does not care about this. Zero just running down the remaining members, and there's no more stuns or CC to follow this up, so back and forth action in this game. EA coming out a little bit on top of that. 2-for-1.
Yeah, well, they might not be. They might be able to stop the turret. So, interesting. There's that much they can do really. Even though it was a 5v4 potentially, that crowd control from Cataclysm and or a Sona ult combined with Vlad ult, there's just a lot of that AoE damage.
Yeah, and to be fair too, they are about 6k ahead when that team fight went down. So some of that's spent, some of it not, but it still is an advantage in levels as well as items.
So we'll probably see a slight lull in terms of going back to the pseudo laning phase. What Factset's should be doing or wanting to do is group up and actually shove down a turret. They need that early global gold to kind of compensate for this this gold disadvantage. That's going to also help them get map control, which is what they need desperately. So, if they see one or two bots, quickly rotate, transition, and then push down mid. That's what you have. That's the advantage of having a kite poke team, is that ability to transition. I think having Udyr split push would be strong. That's when you want to split push, is when you are when you're behind. That's going to allow them to, even if Udyr dies, but if they overcommit by 2 or 3, then they'll just go push another lane or maybe get another turret. Or let's say Udyr doesn't die, well, they get a free turret, potentially free turret. It's going to help them get back in the game.
And this Oracles has definitely paid off. I don't know how many wards he's killed, how many objectives that's secured, but props to Zero for picking that up early. Like Highwind called there, and actually using it very, very effectively so far this game. And Ash farm right now, 134 to Graves is 201. That's up on.
Smoke screen was a little too far.
Yeah,
but,
just a little bit.
Not too big of a deal.
Making me cough. That smoke screen.
What? And again, so we just talked about what Factset, could or wants to do. However, the plan for EA is simple. This is great that they can keep pressure in multiple lanes, but if they really wanted to, they can just group up and push. Or 5-man roam, which also works. Split pushing also works because,
Ash getting chased down here just a little bit. No combo. No full combo yet. Not in that kill zone.
By setting up a split push, they can actually catch the enemy team in transition. These are just tactics that, if you find yourself in somewhat of a stalemate, in this situation though, EA is not in a stalemate. They're pushing all their lanes effectively. They're
shipping down turrets.
Yeah, they're gonna get this mid turret here shortly. They can take that mid turret anytime they want.
Yeah.
In theory, that we should see a dive on mid. That's exactly what I would do.
There should be collapse and dive onto mid. Flag could easily do it if you want to come around behind. Then they would have a pretty good shot at it. Might be waiting for the next dragon here. Ash is going to hawk shot this out and see that it is coming down. Drive through the check. Make sure there are no wards here. Put a nice little ward behind Dragon to see if the enemy team does decide to move in here. And now they will finally push on this mid turret. They should be able to get an auto attack. There you have it. Messiah sneezes on it with his purple goo. Be careful, because it's really hard to approach Dragon 2 with the Malzahar. He has a really good area denial, because if he throws on that null zone, you're not crossing it, because if you touch it for even a second, he ults you and you die.
Yeah, here there's been a prime opportunity to have Udyr or Pantheon split push.
Yeah. In response to
because there's no reason to commit any resource to Dragon at this point. You do not want a team fight. You want to avoid it at all costs, unless it's A, under one of your turrets, or B, potentially Baron. And if it is Baron, you want them to be engaged on Baron, and you want to try and enforce them to pop their ults and bait their ults.
But I think a lot of teams kind of make the for Dragon when it's up, but I think EA they played that correctly, because they had all the lanes pushed. And so by the time they rotated over, if you wanted to counter push top lane, it would have took so much. And Pantheon actually, they dove bottom and Sona was alone. So rule number 1, if you see a support or you are a support there alone, you are in trouble. They can always be killed, even in early game. Whenever if you're a bottom lane player, if you see either the AD or the support, that's your key to go aggro. Especially at this point in the game, when you can just hand drop and blow up instantly. Definitely gotta be careful. In response to that, and EA just moving through here, clearing out wards. He actually leaves that ward back in that brush. I think Malzahar's telling him, "Hey, get the ward back here, buddy.
Yeah.
Get that ward. What are you doing? You want gold. You know what you do."
But this is great, great play here. Just controlling the map, control the Baron area. That's the next objective. By removing that vision that forces them to face check it sometimes. They do have CV, but CV's been nerfed to the point where it's it's not going to always be there. So they're actually going to get a blue steal here and
another ward. About 2 oracles, the ward is killed probably by this point. Looking pretty solid.
We'll probably see a Baron attempt here because they know Ash is bot lane. Ash actually getting soloed by Soda.
Soda, you know, the real terror. They're like, they can't be possibly doing that. It's just Soda's bot. Maybe Epic. Yeah, so EA's going to pick up a Baron here. They set that up. They've had an Oracle for 5 years about this point in the game. And so they've been able to clear out all the wards, make sure everything's safe. It's like, this is taking it to school a little bit, EA. Completely safe. You know, EA is basically showing you how to do it. Like, everything they're doing is basically like textbook. I mean, nothing's like overly aggressive or out of play. I mean, Sona by yourself down that bottom, like that's, you know, they've been punished for a few mistakes like that. Factset's been doing a great job taking advantage of it. But at the same time, it's like EA just overall their whole game plan, their teamwork, their coordination, it's spot on.
Yeah, they're playing really well mechanically.
Yeah, so props to them. Playing a good game. You know, Factset hanging in there. I mean, they're not completely out of this game. They're in quite a bind. But you know, anything is possible. You have to turtle out because of this Baron, though. That was the only unfortunate part. But like we saw last time, EA got a little bit cocky with their Baron last time and were able to get picked off by Factset, layering their ults perfectly and picking off the AD carry first. So might see a little bit of a comeback to that. Just need to, you know, if that happens again, too excited about it. Make sure they temper their expectations, knowing that they're going back.
Yeah, and this time they actually, after they got Baron, they went back and bought this time instead of rushing out and picking up a couple turrets. Now they're, you know, now they've actually got they're going to get this turret for free. There's no way to stop it. Even though the Ash arrow is going to come in, I would actually try to save that arrow for when the team was closer together.
Ash is actually almost all her health. Graves up coming in. Pantheon with a Graves sidewall. Hop onto Graves. Graves going to punch out of this run out. Flash out. Great move by Snap. Out of that. Make sure they do not get picked off. Probably give up some hits right now. With the stun, really following up. He's going to be able to try to escape out of this as the Ghost running for his last. Not going to drop the gold zone in retreat. So good little quick guerrilla engagement there, taking out the, well, I guess it's not so guerrilla if you just smash down the middle and turn it and hit him, but, you know, good, you know, turn exit maneuver right there.
And Ash has got to be careful here. She can actually go quite easily. They don't have any ults, but they will be up quickly. Malzahar does come up with...
Gosh, look at Soraka. But I mean, if you're in this situation where you're going to be having a Baron and they're ahead on you like this, these outer turrets are going to look here, Cataclysm, getting it super good. Caught out here, so Rise is down. They're next going to be able to barely escape out of this. A little help from the team. Graves just chunking everybody right now, doing his job as a lead carry. Meanwhile, Vlad is pushing top, probably going to take out the top turret after another wave of creep, and bottom turret's going to fall as well. I imagine he will rotate up again, get the triple on him, and we'll probably see an end of this move pretty soon.
Yeah, there's no shame in you know, once you lose 3 reactors, dropping a surrender vote.
Yeah. I mean, even at the pro level, if someone plays out like completely safe, perfect game on you, and just getting destroyed there. But I mean, if someone plays a really solid game and keeps their advantage, snowballs it, and they don't make mistakes, you know, even at the pro level, sometimes, you know, if the other team doesn't make mistakes, then there's nothing for you to capitalize on. You can't go back. No shame in falling. Factset has been winning. Just haven't been able to put up that everything from kill.
Here comes the man drop.
Man drop. Crazy to get blown up, so Smash Gizmo coming to make this thing like, no, I will get my kills before this next one falls. Always to get Malzahar just barely getting out of this. Has that thought on him. Will he be able to get Rise is actually going to blow up flat there. And there's so many creeps charging in here, it's going to be hard for them to defend just by themselves. I know Rise is pretty far and can do it with desperate power. Eventually at some point he's going to run out of mana and health. He's going to need some help. So he probably will be able to defend this. But EA looking pretty strong here. Probably going to close out this game and put a W. The call would move on to play Microsoft, I believe.
Yeah, it's alright. Unlike Dota, where it's impossible to come back from a triple rack, I don't think I've ever seen it, and I've never heard of it in many games. However,
I've seen it. I've been part of it, but it's not likely.
Yeah, but here in LoL, League of Legends, where it's not unheard of.
It is possible. It's just really so. What happens is the way you win in a triple rack situation is typically you have a really good carry like a Sivir or a Ryze to clear the waves really quickly, and you can defend that way. Usually, you at least have some Nexus turret up. At that point, to at least defend yourselves a little bit. But what happens is you end up farming so much because all these creep waves keep pushing on you that you can actually, eventually, if you can even out the levels and the items, then you can actually win the game. In this case, we're pretty far out, 31 minutes in. Quite a lot more time to catch up that game. Don't really feel like it's happening. Really, it's popped. They're going in for the win. I think they might just focus down the Nexus, but I'm sure all the ultimate after triple round, flying up everywhere. Soraka's going to fall first. Actually, almost dead. Already get that little bit of heal to survive. Draven trying to chase the fountain. That is really good. Something was caught out. The Rosen alive. Ryan's trying to fight from the fountain. He's actually going to get a killing spree. Killed on the grid. Oh, and there we go. Picked up at EA. Iron Solari going down. Congratulations to them. They will move on in the After Hours Gaming League playoffs against Microsoft, I believe. So, good game by them. Good game to Factset. Any closing statements, Howard?
No, I mean, well played. Again, EA looks well oiled. Hopefully, they'll be able to keep this team throughout the playoffs. This is probably their A team. I know if I were in the playoffs, I'd probably bring my A team. These do have 10-man rosters, but these guys definitely need to, keep it. I think they got a great shot. They're one best of 3 win away from the finals.
Yeah.
And that $5,000 that's going to go to a specific